Today on FastSilicon.com we have a review of Coolermaster's Mystique. Now get this, RC-631-KWN1-GP aluminum mid-tower case. Coolermaster, you don't need to hire Foxconn rejects to come up with your model numbers. Jesus. Weighing in at only 14 pounds and supporting an entirely toolless design, we think you'll like it. But let's take a closer look. After I go take a breather from that long model number, Jesus Christ. The case itself is standard mid-tower size, being about 18 inches high, 8 inches wide, and 19 inches deep. Due to the depth, you shouldn't have any real weird issues with large ATX boards inside this case, and we've fitted a few rather large 965 chipset boards in this case, and there's been plenty of room to route everything. As you can see in the earlier shots, the side panel has a clear plexiglass side panel so you can see the interior of the case. We also have a mesh-covered ventilation slot that will take a standard 120 millimeter fan. Fan's not provided. The side panel itself is secured by two, I've removed one of them, thumbnail screws, and by a simple latch, which is easy to open and shut. The rear of the case is about as exciting as the average rear of a case gets, but there are a few features to note. The large 120 millimeter exhaust port on the back is very well ventilated, and it's also tapped for not only 120 millimeter, but 80 and 90 millimeter fans. The case includes a 120 millimeter by 25 millimeter fan. Moving up to the power supply area, see that it's got a nice generous shelf here and here to support the power supply, because likely if you put a very large high wattage multi-rail power supply in here, it's going to weigh about as much as the case. One peculiar and interesting feature is this here. We have two rubber lined holes that allow you to route additional cabling either in or out of the case. This would be useful for a myriad of things, such as an external liquid cooling system. Nice touch. We're going to be short and sweet about this side of the chassis, as you can see, it's pretty Spartan. You can see the brushed anodized aluminum finish, which is quite sanitary, quite beautiful. This finish, it's also worthy to note, shows fingerprints, something drastically. So you'll be wiping this case down a good bit if you happen to move it around. One unusual feature of the Coolermaster Mystique is its location of what are usually referred to as front panel I/O ports. Here on the Coolermaster Mystique, they've placed these on the top of the case. You got a FireWire port, headphone, microphone, and two USB ports. I think this is a wise move on their part, as these ports are probably far more convenient and less likely for you to trip over if they're located on the top of the tower instead of way down below. Moving around to the front of the case, things get a little more interesting. Like many towers, the Coolermaster Mystique features a door. Unlike many towers, this door is entirely made out of aluminum. It has a very strong hinge mechanism on this side, stops located on the door, and these are reversible, so you can actually reverse the direction of the door as you see fit. The rest of what's behind the tower is standard fare, with 4 external 5-inch bays, 2 external 3-inch bays, power button, power light, hard drive activity light, and a reset switch. And these switches are also brushed aluminum as well. Once we enter the inside of the case, we see some more unique features. Unlike many cases that require either screws or mounted rails for installing 5-inch and external 3-inch devices, Coolermaster's Mystique uses a unique latching mechanism, common to many Coolermaster cases. Slide a drive in, lock it. No need for tools, screws, or anything. It's a very neat feature, and it's available for all 4 of the 5-inch bays and both of the 3.5-inch bays. Because this is an aluminum chassis, you won't find any removable components. Aluminum just isn't as structurally strong as steel. And it's the case with the 4 5 1/4 inch bays. This is not a removable drive cage. However, this is not as bad as it might sound. Coolermaster provides these neat snap-on hard drive rails. They just simply snap onto any standard-sized hard drive. This happens to be a very old Desk Star. And the drives slide and lock into place, and they're just as easy to remove. The rear area of the case has a couple of features to note. You'll notice the mounting shelves for power supply, which is a must, especially in an aluminum case. You'll notice the provided and mounted 120 millimeter fan. One special feature is this mechanism right here. And if I can operate this without getting my hands in the way. Instead of using screws, although screws are provided in the parts bag, you can simply use this mechanism, opening it, allowing you to remove all cards at once, and sliding it back shut. And from my test earlier with a couple of motherboards and a couple of X1600 Crossfire cards, this held things in fairly securely. This set of cables right here, very well shielded and quite long, are the cables that go to the top I/O panels. And these are standard headers. You have a standard USB header, a standard 1394 FireWire header. Here's where they go the extra mile. You have a standard HD audio pin out, a standard AC97 audio pin out, and should your motherboard not support one of those standard pinout blocks, they also provide all of the wires that you need, color-coded. It's interesting to note as well that the Coolermaster manual is extremely thorough and delineates the color codes and combinations of these very well. So you won't have any confusion wiring your case up, no matter what kind of audio connector you have. Lastly, let's take a look at the case behind the front bezel. The front bezel is opened by compressing 3 little plastic push pins and then pulling the bezel off to the side. As you can see, the front is very cleanly designed. The 120 millimeter intake fan port is very wide and well ventilated. A 120 millimeter fan is provided, and they also tap for 80 or 90 millimeter fans. The bezel itself is made of a combination of aluminum and plastic. One neat feature for the front intake is this plastic screen. You can remove this, and they provide a nice piece of filter material. It's very sturdy, washable, and will allow you to periodically remove this, clean it, to keep down dust and grass into your PC. Very nice touch. Very nice touch. Overall, we were much impressed with the Coolermaster Mystique. It's a very lightweight aluminum design with an attractive side panel. It's aesthetically pleasing. It has one of the highest build qualities I've personally ever seen in a case. Online you can find this case from anywhere from about $80 upwards to $100, which is rather expensive for a Midtower without a power supply. But there's nothing cheap about the Coolermaster Mystique. We think you'll like it, and we highly recommend it.